Hey, we are live. It's Steve Moran here with my good friend Douglas, the BTC Guru Yates.
Good to see you, Steve.
Hey, we'll be talking about Bitcoin headlines. As always, anything exciting you were seeing today in the news, Doug?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One other thing I thought was very interesting, and it's kind of changing my opinion of Dogecoin right now, is Mark Cuban explaining why he's backing it, and
Okay.
it's kind of a social experiment kind of thing. He's backing it because everybody's paying in it. And he goes, and that's what gives it value. Even though there's nothing behind it, it was just a meme. It was set up. I'm pretty sure the kid was in high school when he set it up a few years ago and did a really cool meme that people like. And that's why they use it, because they like the meme. And that's value in itself. Getting the backing of a certain piece of society or all of society or whatever is powerful, right?
It is. That's very cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, and that's what gives it to the value. Now, whether it's going to come or go or not, well, only time will tell on that, because sometimes the backing of society fluctuates. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it typically drives a spike, though. Typically drives a spike, right?
Right. Yeah.
When big guys start talking, just like when, Elon Musk started talking about, Bitcoin and Tesla buying Bitcoin.
Right. Yeah, and I read another interesting article on two articles on that. He came out yesterday and today said, I have personally not sold any Bitcoin.
Correct.
Now, Tesla sold 10% of the 1.5 billion Bitcoins that they bought, but it's common practice in corporate world. It's called asset liquidation verification. They do it all the time for all sorts of different types of asset that corporate owns. They got to show on the books to their shareholders. They're really, public corporations are subject to the shareholders. They got to show them that this decision was wise, and look how liquid it was. And so it's a common practice. It's called asset liquid verification.
Well, I think on another note on that, because I read the same thing, is that Elon Musk is the CEO of Tesla.
Right.
Okay. Now, as the CEO of Tesla, his entire compensation plan, is based on stock price,
right,
and based on earnings. Okay.
Right.
So what he did is he figured out how to use the cash that's sitting on your balance sheet as an asset. Okay. And as it sits there, you don't get to make any money. Your stock doesn't increase or nothing else happens with that. But by putting it into Bitcoin and then selling percent, he made an extra $101 million that Wall Street was net earnings, that Wall Street was not expecting, Right. So when you go back to the board and you say, by the way, we made $101 million to prove the liquidity, that also, it helps the stock price, because now when you come in $101 million higher than what Wall Street's projecting, that's good. Okay.
No, absolutely.
Elon Musk's compensation plan is based on the stock price. Okay. So that's good for him. So, now that you're kind of seeing this whole picture come together as to what it's been done, now he's gone back to the board. Okay. And the shareholders, do you think they like that extra $101 million?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Because now he's showing them how to take it off the balance sheet, turn it into profit without disturbing the balance sheet. Right. Because the balance sheet didn't go down. Right. Those assets didn't go down, but now he's done this. So I think this is huge, because I think that when the board sees that, they're going to go, okay, well, let's do it again.
No, absolutely.
Right?
It is huge. And here's something untangible that you look at the price of Bitcoin and people say and I got some more information on that where we're going to talk about after this. But they're like, oh, it's overinflated. This bull run can't continue. We're in a bubble, all this kind of stuff. And this shows you the power of the Bitcoin network as a whole. It's being integrated into corporate America. Michael Saylor from MicroStrategies, he's kind of the cheerleader of this. This guy's a PhD in economics, trained at MIT. The guy knows his stuff,
Right.
And he's very smart about it. And on a side note, there's an excellent debate you got to go watch between him and what's the guy's name? Gustra. So Saylor versus Gustra. It's basically Bitcoin versus gold, and Saylor destroys them. I mean, and Gooster's only response or defense or argument, better word, through this whole debate was, oh, well, the government's going to shut it down. Government's going to shut it down. Government's going to shut it down. And Michael's like, it's past that point. It's decentralized. You can't shut this down.
You can't, and especially when you start talking about like the biggest automakers in the world, people like that, big businesses, one of the biggest businesses in the world. Okay, that are getting behind it. You can't. It's not going to get shut down. But see, the other thing is, we keep talking about sometimes, the Bitcoin price and having that certain amount of the 21 million coins that ultimately one day the most we'll ever have, right? Compared to a stock price and what a CEO. And see, now all these companies that are seeing this, their shareholders are going to go, whoa, wait a minute. We can figure out how to take some of that 100 million and go turn it into more money where we can make more money, because these other CEOs get paid on that too. And think about this, okay? All he did was push one button and from cash and buy Bitcoin, and then push one button one more time and sell Bitcoin. Yep. And he made $101 million net earnings.
Yep.
Okay. And he still has more on the balance sheet than he had when he started.
Right.
Okay. See, that's how the CEOs are going to start to now leverage that cash that's sitting in there, because there's not been a way that they could turn it that fast, right? That's pure liquidity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And my bottom line of this whole conversation is it's proving the power and the integration of the Bitcoin network. It's more than just the Bitcoin itself and holding that in a great storage of value, as opposed to other storage of values like gold and silver and such. The network itself is causing drastic improvements in the corporate world and then our personal world, obviously, because we're allowed to tap into this, any person in the whole world.
Right.
As long as you have a phone, that's all. The only requirement, I read, I don't know who said this, read it somewhere today. The only requirement to get into the Bitcoin, it's this article I'm going to talk about in just a second, is to have a phone. That's it. And all, pretty much 95% of the population in the world have a phone.
The world has a phone, right? Yeah. And what percentage of those people actually have a bank account? Okay,
like, not very many of them.
Not very many of them. Okay, so and guess what? They all want to have money, right? So how do you get it? Where do you get it? Where do you put it? How does it work? Okay,
it's funny you say that, because just yesterday, a friend of mine, they were over at the house just visiting, and the wife's like, man, I went to Walmart and I had to return something, which happens to be the same counter where you could buy Western Union and gift cards, which it's a huge. I didn't know this, but she kind of pointed this out to me, through our conversation. People without banks, that's where they go to pay their bills. They go to Walmart and they load $1,000 on a Visa card,
on a prepaid card, and they have
to go pay their electric
and all
bill
kinds of stuff with it.
Yeah, and so that Bitcoin is going to change their life.
Yeah, and then on those debit cards, then they still only have a maximum amount they can even use on that card every day, kind of a thing, right? So it's like your money, you're putting it on there, you're paying a fee to put it on there, and you can't even use it all if you want to or whatever. It's like you don't have that freedom. And that's why, the Cash App, guys, I mean, if you guys are living in a country that you can get the Cash App, you should have one by the time we get done with this show. I mean, Go to your phone right now, go get the Cash App, okay? Set up your bank. I mean, go put $50 or something into it. And I mean, they send you a debit card, okay? You can buy Bitcoin on there. You can have, I mean, it's great. I mean, everybody in the world that can have access to a Cash App can do that. And then you have the ability to move some of this money around. That liquidity again is something that is so important in this. And again, remember we were talking last week. It's like, okay, wait a minute. All these hedge funds, all these people are coming in, but there's not really people selling. So where are they getting it? Well, I guess there was, $150 million worth of Bitcoin that got sold just by that we didn't know. And one of the articles that I read were saying that, Elon Musk, he pumped and dumped, right? And
it's far from the truth, very far from the truth.
It's very far from the truth, but in actuality, this is kind of what's going to happen. When a CEO of any big company comes out and announces that they are putting a small percentage of their cash assets into Bitcoin, that's going to drive a spike in the market. Okay.
Yep.
And guess what? These CEOs are going to see what Elon Musk just did. And when they get up to a point where they can take some profit, they're going to take that profit, they're going to put it back real quick and surprise Wall Street. And I mean, they can see this kind of a deal like this. I mean, if you've got a losing quarter coming around, okay, on Wall Street, right, and you're a CEO, I mean, this is, I mean, having something here where you have that possibility to turn a quarter around in a minute. If you're going to miss your numbers and you can just, I can sell something, I can make my numbers, I can make my whole quarter from this.
Yep. Hey, so if you're a CEO of a public company, you want to be a hero, buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, buy Bitcoin and have it in your back pocket. Okay, have it in your back pocket because, I mean, what CEO is not going to tell you that when the numbers come around? Okay, I mean, an extra 100 million could be a big difference to be able to pop into your balance sheet.
Yeah.
Okay, as earnings, right? So I mean, it's like, wow.
But look what's happening here. There's you and I, two sole entrepreneurs. We came together through blockchain at Bitcoin, and now we're the big corporations and the entrepreneur, us, are at the same level. We're coming together too. So there's this effect, this network effect that's happening along with it that's completely amazing.
Well, yeah, and if you're seeing big companies starting to put a certain percentage of their stuff in, I mean, the other thing that's cool with the Cash App, I mean, Cash App, you can actually set it up and you can say, hey, every day buy me $5 worth of Bitcoin, okay? And it'll just like automatically keep doing it. You can have it to buy in stocks. Yeah, you can buy stocks in there, if you wanted to. So
yeah, I mean, what's happening with Binance, which is one of the second largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world, is they're merging stocks and crypto, where you can basically trade stocks on their exchange along with crypto. And it's going to blur these lines a little bit in the future. And it's the near future. I'm talking months away. Other exchanges are going to, like Coinbase and others are going to jump into this same thing and have indexes inside of their exchange where you can leverage stocks and bonds and all that kind of stuff. It's all coming together. And it goes back to what we were just talking about, the power of the Bitcoin blockchain network and what it's doing to corporate and personal society right now.
And I think we're actually going to even see, as we move into the future, less stock offerings and more coin offerings.
Okay? Yeah.
I mean, I think when we look down the road in 10 years at what's going to be happening in the quote unquote IPO front or IPO ICO front, right? I don't think we're going to have, I think new companies that are coming out in the age of the blockchain, okay, I think that they're going to do it with coins rather than stock. It's just the evolution of everything, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so
I don't disagree with you on that at all.
And that's why I think that you're starting to see like these digital exchanges are going to be bringing over, the other ones because those ones are going to be fading out. I mean, those are.
Yeah, and if you're looking at the environment and like, let's say you have some money you want to invest and just it's just me talking to Steve here, two entrepreneurs. We're not making any type of investment advice, but decentralization is the key to the future. Wyoming, they're almost ready to pass their DAO, which is a decentralized autonomous organization. It's kind of a hybrid, like an LLC is a hybrid of a corporation. Mm-hmm. So is a DAO, and it's basically ran by. There's no central point of command. Basically, there is a leader that's directing, but the network itself, the shareholders, for lack of a better term, are the ones actually running it, which is great. Power of the people, we the people. It's basically that in a digital implementation, which is awesome. And I believe and so when you're looking at and evaluating companies and coins and cryptocurrencies, decentralization is the key to that. If it's centralized, you be suspect. It could be controlled, or it could be taken away or not taken away. So be careful is all I'm saying.
And that's why, as companies move on, we're always going to have companies going to be there are always going to be stocks out there. You're always going to have your Fortune 500 companies that are going to go out and, you can't just go redo where you're at, right? As we have disruption, continue to have disruption in industries, and there are companies that come out and start taking over industries like Uber did and like Airbnb did and things like that, more and more of these companies are going to be built on the blockchain. And So they will be doing it more, I think, in the form of tokens and coins than they will be in the form of a stock going forward. I think that because you're fast movers, your company, if you're going to build your company on the blockchain, there's just no way that you would go back and put all those other things in, because when you have everything on the blockchain, like you said, you get rid of a lot of the audit potential. Everything's right there. It's just like, it's all right there.
Right. Yeah.
There's no basically books, right? There's no duplicates books.
And you don't need to audit because everything's right. You look at the blockchain, it's all visible. You can audit it every minute, every second if you want.
That's what I'm saying, though. So it eliminates employees. Okay, it eliminates
more efficient.
Correct, right? Yes. So your businesses are going to be more efficient, and as the AI gets better, the artificial intelligence continues to get better and better and better. It's just going to be, like you say, there's no duplicate sets of books and things like that. It's like
exactly.
When they do stuff like that, it's companies that want to, if you start a company in 10 years, okay, and you're going the old school way, it's like, okay, wait a minute, why you got to kind of keep an eye on these guys. Why would you be doing it that way?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, what are you trying to hide? Yeah, no, seriously, that's what's going to happen.
What are you trying to hide?
If you're on a blockchain, where you're obviously hiding something. That's going to be the conclusion in people's minds.
Right. That's going to be the conclusion that they're going to come to. It's like,
so
if you're like,
I got to share this article that I'm looking at right here. Is totally is amazing. I love it. So it's basically this crypto investment firm called Pantera Capital.
Okay.
So Bitcoin blasting off to $700,000 per coin is basically easy, and here's when it's going to happen, basically. And they have this chart that they came up. They look back historically to the price of Bitcoin and the adoption of Bitcoin.
Okay.
And this is where it goes back to the Bitcoin network has value in it. We were just talking about this.
Right.
And so they basically said the Bitcoin price rises every time 1 million users come on board. They could historically track this. So if they look at it, there's a little chart here.
Okay.
Right to see it. And so they calculated out that 700,000 per coin between now and the next year, basically, is completely reachable and feasible with this formula. And this is just one type of index, one type of formula that they're trying to predict price of Bitcoin. So it just showed, and as we've been talking about all morning, the adoption level is on the increase. It's all about adoption. In fact, that's what if you go and watch that gold versus Bitcoin debate with Michael Saylor, that was his whole point: is adoption. It's this, and the guy kept saying regulation is going to shut it down, kind of thing. It's not adoption, decentralization. It's past that point. The adoption level is like this. It's on a rocket ship right now.
He's one of those guys you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Well, he did say at the end, I think you got a great point, Michael. He conceded the race. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it was his his deal was to be on the opposite side and debate it as much and as hard as he can. Okay, but at the end of the day, you have to admit that hey, you got me.
So $700K per Bitcoin, just based on amount of adoption and the users coming in. Amazing. I think we could reach that within. They're saying like 18 months. I think it could be half that period, based on just my feeling of the network, of the growth of the Bitcoin network. But again, future's bright. Got to wear shades.
We talked about this 3 months ago, or whenever it was, 3 or 4 months ago, when Elon Musk went out, when the CEO bought $1.5 billion worth of stuff. We said, okay, well, what's going to be happening in those boardrooms, and now we know what's going to be happening in those boardrooms, because now, if we know about it, guess what? All the other Fortune 500 CEOs know that he did this. He pushed a button here, and then he pushed a button here, and he made $101 million net earnings. And they're going, okay, wait a minute. What would that do to my bonus?
Yeah.
What would that do to my bonus?
Or maybe I should just quit and buy Bitcoin and live it.
Or seriously, they're going to be like, if your quarter's in doubt and you don't have Bitcoin in your back pocket, okay, as a CEO, I mean, I've run I've run some different companies, and that's what you're judged on. You're only judged on your numbers, and you're only judged on your most recent numbers. So, you buy $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin, you only sold 10% of it. Guess what? If you got a bad quarter coming up, and guess what? But every quarter, it's probably going to continue to keep going up and up and up. So now it's worth more. It's worth more. Now he's always got that much more sitting there that he can just draw on whenever he wants to, okay, while still taking the additional cash because they're making more money and buying more of it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. They use it as a storage of value. So they're taking their revenue and putting it in.
Just prove to the board of directors and prove to the shareholders that, look at this. It's a store of value with tremendous liquidity, and we added $101 million net earnings, by the way. Okay.
Yep.
With that at 10%. And it's like, okay, they'll be like, okay, wait a minute, let's do that again. Let's buy more. Okay. So it's not like that was the only amount they're ever going to buy. They're going to continue. When this happens, this is what they do. They talk about this stuff in the meetings. They go, okay, well, what's working best for us? What was, what's making us the most money with the least effort?
Yep. Right.
These are questions you got to ask yourself. And, the answers kind of are becoming pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, it is. It's almost a no-brainer. and the arguments against Bitcoin and the Bitcoin network and the blockchain future are just becoming less and less and less, because people are going, we just got to give into this because it's the future. And I want to remind every man and woman and other that are watching us right now, you're a CEO of something. If it's your family or your small company, or you're a sole proprietor, you're CEO of your sole self.
Yeah.
So making wise decisions on your excess capital is look into this. Do your research.
Yeah.
Watch us every day. We're trying to provide great education here. And one thing occurred to me this morning as I get up. I tell everybody it's my normal routine. I get up around 4 a.m. and I do my meditation and my stretches and such, because you get old, stretching's key.
All right.
And then I jump into the headlines and reading what's going on, over the night, because Bitcoin doesn't sleep at all. The Bitcoin network never sleeps, 24/7 going, unlike the stock market. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this because Steve and I got a show, and I got to say something. And my whole point of this conversation right now is when you have to educate somebody else about something, it forces you to learn more and to don't get lazy, which I love it.
Right, we have to find something to talk about every day. We're talking our show is Bitline Headlines, BitcoinHeadlines.tv, right? We got to talk about different headlines, so we got to go out and find them, and then we got to figure out what does that mean when that's happening, what's really going on there, And
so it increases your game, which is awesome. So let us educate you, let you educate others, and then we can show you very soon, hopefully, that while you're doing this learning and educating others, you can earn. And we'll have some incredible value for you in the very, very near future. And one headline that jumped out at me is totally not blockchain related at all. Is Oscar's viewership was down 60%, and I love it. Power of the people.
There you go. One more thing I wanted to add is, some of you guys might have noticed I had one of my little ones on yesterday. He was here with me, and those of you parents out there that have got young kids that are, you ultimately want to provide them a good education. A lot of us have, started college funds for our kids, right? And what are you doing with that money? I'll tell you what. The one thing that I would do, that I am doing without anything else, is I'm putting it into Bitcoin, because I absolutely know that I've got a daughter, actually, it's today, is her 6th birthday. Okay?
Oh, wow.
See the balloons in the back, so she's all excited to come out here in a little bit.
So 12 years, you got a college to pay for.
Yeah. And then I've got a little one he's 5 months. Okay. I've got 18 years. And it's like, I can't even imagine in my wildest dreams what Bitcoin is really going to be worth in 15 years or 12 years. But I absolutely would bet a lot of money on it right now. I would bet a lot of money that it'll be at least $1 million for a coin.
Hey, there's articles out there written on this exact subject, written by very smart PhD, high-level ex-Treasury Department people that are talking $1 trillion per Bitcoin. You own one Bitcoin, you have control, basically a buying power of $1 trillion US. Amazing.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, I mean, look, if you got a college education, start putting some of it in there. I mean, you're not going to be touching it. Look at it as a holding on to this, and as the CEO, as things go up, you can start to take a percentage of the things and sell it, and
Right.
you can have some profit there that you
As a
can
good
do.
CEO of your entity, your family,
Right,
whatever.
the CEO of your family, right? This is one of the things. If you're, if you've got kids, you got to be responsible as a CEO, and you got to be doing something for their education and doing something put away. So, think about doing this, because not only will it make you get involved and get educated about what it is that you're doing. Okay, you'll have total control of it. Okay, total control of it. And nothing else can go out. Nobody else can go out and mismanage and fuck it up and screw up your kid's education and steal it or whatever, right? You have total control of it, and you can do what you want, And I mean, I like that. I like having that freedom, and I think that take control. Take control.
And I think it's a great note in today's show on is exactly what you just said. Take control. You're the CEO of your life. Take control of it. Bitcoin network.
Yeah.
Earn while you learn.
Yeah. Get the Cash App. Go put, start sending $10 a day or something over into your Bitcoin, and just put it on autopilot and don't touch it, and just start, something like that. $5, $1, whatever it is,
And just so you know, Bitcoin, it's 55,000 right now, I think, per Bitcoin. You don't have to have 55,000 to enter.
No, you can buy it.
You can enter it at $100, and you're growing that $100.
$50 worth or $20 worth if you wanted to, but I mean, put something in it and watch what happens. Watch what happens, and you're going to have to get a wallet. I mean, that's why I start with a Cash App. It's real easy. And then stay with us, and we're going to show you a lot of other stuff. We've got, we're still right on the edges, announcing some pretty big stuff, but we're just not quite there yet. And hopefully maybe we'll have something tomorrow that we'll be ready to go with, but it will be soon. So that's all we got. Anything else today?
That's it, man. Take care. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.
All right, man. That was fun.